Hello, I am so glad you have chosen to join us today for this webinar that is addressing the high quality pre-kindergarten component of curriculum. My name is Tamala Olsby, and I am a member of the Early Childhood Education Division here at the Texas Education Agency, and I'm so pleased that you're joining us. This slide describes what we are going to discuss today in this webinar. We will first do an overview of the high quality pre-kindergarten components that are referenced in HB3, and we will spend most of our time on the component of curriculum. We'll look at some research, we'll figure out what is required within this curriculum, and we'll look at some frequently asked questions that we receive here at TEA. And then we're going to delve into even higher quality in the area of curriculum. And we'll end with some resources and support that we're hoping will help you on your journey of quality. Let's briefly look at the high quality components that are referenced in HB3. Texas has been on a journey to increase the quality of its public pre-kindergarten programs for quite some time. The link between our child outcomes and the quality level of the pre-kindergarten program is a well-researched topic. Let's look at this quote. Not all pre-kindergarten programs successfully support early learning. It is decidedly not the case that just any pre-K program operating under just any circumstances will provide young children with the inputs they need to produce, let alone sustain early developmental gains. So this is what we are aiming for. We want our youngest students in Texas to be attending a pre-kindergarten program of the highest quality. These are the high quality pre-kindergarten components that are referenced in HB3 and are a requirement of every public pre-K program within Texas serving eligible 4-year-olds. Curriculum, student progress monitoring, teacher qualifications, teacher-student ratio, family engagement, program evaluation, data reporting. The focus of this webinar is curriculum. All the information contained in this webinar can be found in one of these 3 sources, from statute, from Commissioner's Rule, or from HB3 itself. So here we go. What are those high quality requirements that focus on pre-kindergarten curriculum? Before we look at the requirements, I want us to look at one more piece of research to answer the question, why are we looking at curriculum as a component of high quality? Well, let's listen to this piece of research. Pre-kindergarten programs are not all equally effective. Several effectiveness factors may be at work in the most successful programs. One such factor supporting early learning is a well-implemented, evidence-based curriculum. So there you go. Curriculum is a component of high quality. So what does statute say? In 29.167, it says a school district shall select and implement a curriculum for a kindergarten program that, number 1, includes the pre-kindergarten guidelines established by the agency. Number 2, measures the progress of students in meeting the recommended learning outcomes And number 3, does not use national curriculum standards developed by the Common Core State Standard Initiative. So what does all of that mean? Briefly, it means that the curriculum used in a pre-kindergarten program serving eligible 4-year-old students must align with the 2015 Texas Pre-Kindergarten Guidelines. This slide shows us the 10 developmental domains that are within those Texas Pre-K guidelines. Look at all of those subject matters: social emotional development, reading, writing, math, science, and lots more. And these are the items that our youngest children should be learning. This slide shows the cover of the Texas Pre-K guidelines and a sample page. This page that I've chosen is out of Emergent Literacy Writing. And if you'll look at it, on the left-hand side, there are 4 columns. On the left column, it says by around 48 months of age. So the items in that column describe the outcomes for children in a 3-year-old pre-kindergarten class. The next column says end of pre-kindergarten year outcomes. Those outcomes listed there are items that children should meet before they end their 4-year-old program in pre-kindergarten. The third column should help teachers to be able to observe the child behaviors that would document that the children have met the outcomes that the teacher is looking for. So it gives lots of examples of child behaviors that would be associated with any of the outcomes. And lastly, the last column has examples of instructional strategies. So this column could be used by the classroom teacher in case a child needs a little more assistance in one of those outcomes. I wanted just to show you a sample page so that you could get an idea of what is in the Texas Pre-K guidelines if you were not familiar with them. Now we're going to discuss the instructional materials list that is developed by the State Board of Education. One of the State Board of Education's responsibilities is to review curriculum to see if it aligns with state standards. Now remember, in pre-K, those state standards are the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines. So these items that are listed here, these curriculum have been reviewed by the SBOE, and it's been determined that they align with the Texas Pre-K guidelines. So if your LEA is using one of the curriculums listed here on this slide, you can rest assured that you're using a curriculum that meets the requirements that are in statute. So let's look at a frequently asked question about curriculum that we often find at TEA. Here's the question. Our district has been using a locally designed curriculum for over 20 years. Do we have to change our curriculum? Well, here's the answer. If the locally designed curriculum aligns with the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines, then the district is meeting the regulations requirement. So it would be prudent to carefully review the curriculum, especially when it's locally designed, periodically, just to assure that it is staying in alignment with those guidelines. So let's talk about even higher quality. What would that look like, especially in regards to curriculum? It is always good for us to remember our goal, which is positive child outcomes. And implementing a curriculum that is aligned with the Texas Prekindergarten guidelines enables an LEA to have a uniform level of quality that will lead to these positive child outcomes that we all want. There are two types of quality. One is structural and one is process, and they are both very important. When pre-kindergarten high quality is defined by easily identifiable and usually regulated characteristics of a program, like curriculum, that is structural quality. So let's tie to what we've been discussing today, curriculum with structural quality. If an LEA is using a curriculum that is aligned with the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines, a district might think, I can check off that box. We've met that requirement. That is structural quality. So what is process quality? When quality is defined by the child's experience in the classroom, their activities, their interaction with teachers, with their peers, even with the materials within the classroom, that is process quality. So in our example of curriculum, it isn't enough that a curriculum that aligns to the Texas Pre-K guideline has been purchased. That curriculum might be sitting on a shelf. Process quality would look at how that curriculum is being used on a daily basis to meet the needs of the children in the classroom. Both of these parts of quality, structural and process, are both very important and are both necessary for a high-quality pre-kindergarten program. In most cases, structural quality precedes process quality, but when both are present, you have real high quality. The pre-kindergarten components that have been Texas's focus, those listed here on the slide, are considered structural quality. They are foundational to high quality. They help us reach our target. We want a bullseye, positive child outcomes. So for those of you that are listening today that have made sure that your pre-kindergarten curriculum is aligned with the current Texas pre-kindergarten guidelines, how could you reach an even higher level of quality in curriculum? Here are some things to think about. Are the pre-kindergarten teachers well trained in the implementation of the pre-kindergarten curriculum to ensure horizontal alignment? So it's not enough just to have the curriculum. We need teachers that are well versed in how to use it. And our teachers all across the district, no matter which campus they are on, all using the same curriculum and are all well trained in its implementation. That ensures that the child's experience within that district is aligned no matter what campus that child is on. Does the LEA have a scope and sequence document to ensure that all the concepts and all the skills that are in the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines have been introduced, have been reinforced, and have been practiced? Often we see scope and sequence documents in the upper grades, but a pre-kindergarten program, a high quality one, would also have a scope and sequence document. Is the pre-kindergarten learning environment designed to fully implement the curriculum? So can you tell from the early learning environment what the children are learning about? Are the two things linked together? And finally, is the curriculum effective in meeting students' identified needs? So often, students come up with identified needs, and those could be a wide variety. Is the curriculum that you are implementing in your pre-K program, does it meet those needs? Or does it need to be perhaps adjusted? And remember, these high quality guidelines that we are aiming for are not really, they are required for a pre-kindergarten class that is serving eligible 4-year-olds. But we should not forget those little 3-year-olds. And remember that it is best practice that pre-kindergarten programs serving eligible 3-year-old students also adhere to the high quality components referenced in statute and in commissioner's rule. And you might want to use part of your early education allotment from HB3, and that money could also be spent on making the 3-year-old classrooms and components like curriculum of the highest quality. Those funds can be used and can be spent serving 3-year-old students as well. So let's now look at some resources and support that might help you not only in complying with that high quality component of curriculum, but also in reaching an even higher quality level. I've given you the link here for the Texas Pre-K guidelines and the link to the instructional materials list. You will also find 2 links here for the Children's Learning Institute. They have a lot of resources that are especially linked to the Texas Pre-K guidelines. And even your Education Service Center often does workshops and trainings that are linked to the Texas Pre-K guidelines that you might want to avail yourself of. And lastly, we've listed the Early Childhood Program Self-Assessments. These are program evaluation tools, and they have a curriculum part to them. So you might want to check out those to see how you could reach for even higher quality. TEA has also created this checklist that could be used to document your areas of strength or proficiency, as well as opportunities to grow in the area of curriculum. So the items listed here are either in statute, commissioner's rule, or they're even of a higher level of quality. And districts and charters can use this tool to document where they are currently and where they want to go. And as always, the Early Childhood Education Division here at TEA is ready, and we are willing to help guide you on your higher quality quest. And so here are links not only to our website, but to our email support. I want to leave you today with a quote. And remember, we're talking about curriculum, and I found this to be quite interesting. It is from Albert Einstein. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. From Albert Einstein. Thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar that has focused on the curriculum used in a pre-kindergarten program. We hope that you found it useful, and don't hesitate to contact us if you need further guidance. Thank you.